Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 5 for today. It's Wednesday, May 15th, 2013. I'm Darko. My website's ggnonline.com for more news and archives and also a way to donate. Also on YouTube, my channels are ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. Alright, so all the headlines and links will be posted in YouTube's video description by tomorrow evening. U.S. military power grab goes into effect as Pentagon unilaterally grants itself authority over civil disturbances. So let's scroll down here. It says this is after the manhunt for the Boston Marathon bombing suspects. It says here it's offered the nation a window into the stunning military-style capabilities of our local law enforcement agencies. For the past 30 years, police departments through the U.S. Have benefited from the government's basically largesse in the form of military weaponry and training, incentives offered in the ongoing war on drugs. It says for the average citizen watching events such as an intense pursuit of the Zarnia brothers on TV, it would be difficult to discern between fully outfitted police SWAT teams and the military. It says the lines blurred even further Monday as a new dynamic was introduced to the militarization of domestic law enforcement by making a few subtle changes to a regulation in the U.S. Code titled Defense Support of Civilian Law Enforcement Agencies. The military has quietly granted itself the ability to police streets without obtaining prior local or state consent, pending a precedent that has been in place for more than 2 centuries. It says federal military commanders have the authority in extraordinary emergency circumstances where prior authorization by the president is impossible and duly constituted local authorities are unable to control the situation to engage temporarily in activities that are necessary to quell large-scale, unexpected civil disturbances or civil unrest. DHS-funded police gear blurs line between crime fighting and war funding. It says that DHS is funding the purchase of military gear by Bay Area police departments. Critics of the program say the money allocated for the war on terror is blurring the line between local law enforcement focused on crime fighting and soldiers fighting in an enemy war zone. They go in there and talk about in San Francisco and California that these local police departments wanting to get drones. It says that the Contra Costa Times reports that most of the requests did not encounter opposition because the money being spent was federal funds that DHS gives to cities the department considers to be at high risk for terrorist attacks. It says since 2003, the Bay Area's USAI has given $359 million in DH funds to agencies from 12 Northern California counties. In addition to the drone, San Mateo County also requested a license plate reader and a system for destroying IEDs. Another way to put it is war on terror money funding drone surveillance in the San Francisco Bay Area. This is from InfoWars. What are these weird street signs being installed in Las Vegas? Part of IntelliStreet's rollout, possibly. Strange new street signs are being installed across Las Vegas are prompting suspicions from concerned readers. So it says, is this part of the nationwide IntelliStreet's rollout, the so-called smart hubs that eavesdrop on conversations? But even the construction workers actually installing these things, these whatever they are, have no information about them. So they're obviously electronic with large crowd control boxes and antenna attached. You go down, here's a picture of it. That was part of the, not so much the bailout, but the Recovery Reinvestment Act was to go towards surveillance cameras, street cameras and that. Ingestible, implantable, or intimate contact says how will you take your microscale body sensors. Computer chips and silicon micro machines are ready for your body. It's time to decide how you'll take them. It says every flavor now exists. Some have FDA approval and some are seeking it. Others are moving quickly out of the research lab stage. It says with the round 1 Qualcomm tricorder X Prize entries due in 1 year, they're going to see heavy doses of sensors tied to mobile wireless health revolution. Somehow, mobile wireless and health revolution just doesn't seem to coincide in the same sentence. But hey, you know, they talk about a healthy dose, a heavy dose. Well, a healthy dose of radiation you're going to be getting when you implant these into your body. But you know, most people, they don't really care anymore. They've already been conditioned to be comfortable with these objects, that that they're not going to hurt them or cause cancer or anything. Irobot Military bots to patrol the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. The battle-tested PackBot 510 will join soldiers, police, and drones to keep the World Cup safe from threats. Well, these 30 bots kick a ball around too. Microsoft reads Skype chat messages. I already kind of knew this, but if you didn't, anyone who uses Skype has consented to the company reading everything they write. Goes on there to discover that the Microsoft subsidiary does in fact make use of this privilege in practice shortly after sending HTTPS URLs over the instant messaging service. Those URLs receive an unannounced visit from Microsoft headquarters in Redmond. Mobile payment service Square blocks gun sales. So they put a target on gun sellers. A mobile payment service run by Twitter co-founder amended its terms of service for retailers last week to ban sales of firearms, firearm parts or hardware and ammunition, and or weapons and other devices designed to cause physical injury. Denied that the move was related to the recent debate over gun control in Washington, calling them the timing completely coincidental. New Papers, Please video game may surprise you. Says, is this a person, a lawful citizen of my country, an unauthorized immigrant, terrorist, spy, or smuggler? This is a primary question you'll have to ask if you play the new game Papers, Please, which casts users in the role of a border agent. It says, inspired by George Orwell's 1984 and by the checkpoints separating East and West Berlin during the Cold War, the game is set in an imaginary nation called Aristotska in 1982. The challenge is to inspect immigrant documents and spot discrepancies. So it's inherently susceptible to critique because of the name Papers, Please is often associated with Arizona's controversial law, which critics say encourages racial profiling of Latinos. It says that the game's premises also depend on the broad stereotype that there are a large number of bad immigrants trying to get into your country. It was revolving around the immigration issue. That's another thing, like talking about the UK Fight Club based off the economy. But it's one of the other things is immigration. We're not talking about people that come here legally and assimilate and all that. You're talking about illegal immigrants and that. So it's not about Berlin Wall. It's about regular border security, and that's, I guess, if you believe in borders and stuff like that. Immigration advocates ask Obama to suspend some deportation. So they like to act as if there's some kind of, again, engineer consent. They're acting as if there's some kind of debate going on with immigration when there really isn't. The floodgates are open. They've been open, and they're like that all throughout the world with countries to, like I said, to create multiculturalism, to mix the races and stuff. So they don't give a crap about immigration policy. It says immigration advocates ask Obama to suspend some deportations from May 13th, 2013. So advocates for open immigration, called on Obama on Monday to suspend deportations of undocumented workers who would qualify for legal status under a new bill. New rule makes residency easier for immigrants within the U.S. This is from January 2013. The Obama regime executive order makes it easier for legal immigrants to obtain permanent residency if they have immediate relatives who are U.S. citizens. Then California lawmaker pushes driver's license for illegal immigrants. This is from January 28th. So it provides licenses to anyone who can show they pay taxes regardless of their immigration status. California bill would let illegal immigrants serve on juries from April 26, 2013. Passed a bill that would make the state the first in the nation to allow non-citizens who are in the country legally to serve on jury duty. Disney tries to trademark Mexican tradition. The company pulls the bid over Dia de los Muertos after outcry. So Disney is winning points, or isn't winning points, for cultural sensitivity this month after trying to trademark the phrase Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. Construction company that raised Mayan pyramid for gravel is owned by a prominent local politician. It's interesting too, because we were just talking about sacrificial rituals or blood sacrifice altars being destroyed. Whether it was where the Federal Reserve, Jekyll Island, they had a sacrificial altar there, and they built a house over there. We're talking about the Sandy Hook Elementary School where that ritual supposedly took place. They want it to demolish. They want to be demolished and rebuild it. Construction company owned by local politicians demolished a 23-year-old Mayan temple in northern Belize to use rubble's gravel for road repair work. So it says here that this total disregard for Belize's cultural heritage and national patrimony is callous, ignorant, and unforgivable. Mexico's Popo volcano spews ash and molten rock. Mexican officials are preparing evacuation routes and shelters for tens of thousands of people who live in the shadow of this Popocatépetl, a giant volcano 40 miles southeast of the Mexico City. Yeah. So they've had notable increase in activity levels in the past few days. So also in really the last year. Guantanamo Bay, but that's going to signal what? That there could be tsunamis, earthquakes, and that along the Ring of Fire. Guantanamo Bay prisoner says President Obama has abandoned detainees. So he feels abandoned by President Obama and the world after more than 10 years at the U.S. prison, where of course they're being force-fed, which is supposedly pretty painful. Of course, Obama was saying he was going to close Gitmo, but no dice. It says graphic video of CIA's heart-eating cannibal terrorists sparks UN call for war crimes prosecution. So you think this individual will be in Guantanamo Bay? Well, no. He's working in U.S. interest. So that's right. Chemical engineers from Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. I remember seeing a documentary, too, about Titan Security and contractors that actually carried out torturing. These were private companies torturing for profits. And the guys were saying that that many of the people that came through, whether Pakistan, Afghanistan, a lot of them were like pizza delivery drivers or just regular engineers or professors. Shortly after midnight Tuesday, 7 people were caught trespassing at the Quaban Reservoir. So state police say that 5 men and 2 women are from Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore and cited their education and career interests for being in the area. So the man told police they were chemical engineers and recent college graduates. Belchertown is one of the country's largest man-made public water supplies. Boston's drinking water comes from Quabbin and Wachusett reservoirs. So, chemical engineers from Pakistan and Saudi Arabia caught trespassing at reservoir. U.S. teen arrested in connection with bomb planted in high school. So this has been occurring a lot now. These improvised devices or students being arrested or suspended. So they arrested the teenager in connection with an explosive device they described as being a pipe bomb package left in the high school. So they also captured at the suspect's home, where they've also found explosive-related evidence. I think that's another thing with the Zarnea brothers and Boston bombing. It was also to incite younger people to start using explosives. Autistic teenager gets fingers blown off from bomb built by bullies. Some teens allegedly threw a small bomb disguised as a golf ball at this individual who had autism. So the homemade bomb injured his legs and blew away most of his fingers. So I guess the teen will be charged with attempted murder. So the autistic kid was trying to be friends with a group of boys when he unwillingly took the homemade bomb in his hands. Congressman's bill asked for study of autism rate in vaccinated versus unvaccinated areas. So the representative says here they're going to introduce the Vaccine Safety Study Act, which would direct the National Institute of Health to conduct a retrospective study of health outcomes, including autism of vaccinated versus unvaccinated, saying that the CDC has refused to study the autism rate in vaccinated versus unvaccinated kids because they are a captive agency of vaccine manufacturers. So the former head of CDC is now the head of Merck, the largest vaccine producer. Colin Brewer says shamed counselor in new rant likened disabled kids to deformed animals. He said that there may be a case for treating the youngsters like sick animals in a bid to keep down the cost of caring for them. Which is really why they want to, push this legalization of assisted suicide. Again, I have to do the disclaimer, not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that there's a reason why they're doing this, especially with organ harvesting, with being able to create organs, with being able to freeze them. A big business, but also elderly people. Bid to keep the cost down for caring for them. They just basically starve them in the hospitals or in the hospices and allow them to just die off. because they don't contribute to the system anymore. This is where we'll return Angela Jolie's double mastectomy highlights Supreme Court cancer gene patent battles. She had her boobs cut off. So there's different reasons that you have the genetic aspects. Then, of course, you have the whole thing with breast cancer, kind of like testicular cancer. These are attacks on the masculinity, or the male and the female, very sensitive organs or parts of the body. But it makes sense, right?